There's a silent epidemic destroying modern men. Not war, not poverty, not heartbreak, but comfort. The kind of comfort that looks harmless, even earned. Soft pillows, easy jobs, endless entertainment, digital validation. The quiet, padded cell of convenience. You don't notice it suffocating you because it whispers instead of screams. It gives you everything except the will to live. Seneca once wrote that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. And today, men are poorer than ever, not in money, but in soul. We've become comfortable with weakness, comfortable with indecision, comfortable with wasting time, with not building, with not fighting for anything real. Comfort has become the new cage, gilded, luxurious, and invisible. It feeds you dopamine, but robs you of purpose. It sedates the masculine spirit that once sought mountains to climb, oceans to cross, and empires to build. Now, most men just seek warmth, likes, and the illusion of progress. But deep down, there's still a flicker, a voice that whispers, "This can't be it." You hear it when you scroll through your phone for hours, when another day passes without meaning, when you realize your strength, mental, emotional, physical, has quietly atrophied. Seneca saw this centuries ago. He understood that a man's destruction doesn't come from pain or loss. It comes from too much ease. Because when life stops testing you, you stop transforming. And that's how comfort kills. Not with a knife, but with a lullaby. Seneca lived in a time when men believed that hardship was the forge of greatness. A Roman Stoic philosopher, advisor to emperors, and playwright of moral tragedies, he understood human weakness from the inside out. He wasn't writing from a monastery or a mountain. He wrote from within the belly of Rome, surrounded by corruption, excess, and comfort disguised as success. His life was a paradox, a man who preached simplicity while swimming in luxury, a teacher of strength who lived among the weak. And yet, that tension is precisely why his words still slice through the modern illusion. Seneca believed that comfort doesn't nurture the soul, it sedates it. What we call peace is often just paralysis in disguise. He warned that the more we shield ourselves from discomfort, the weaker our spirit becomes. To him, the decline of man didn't begin with poverty or pain, it began with ease. Because ease dulls the instincts that once kept us alive. He once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Those words aren't just about wealth, they're about spirit. Every craving for an easier life, every obsession with convenience, every avoidance of challenge is a slow descent into slavery. Comfort doesn't just make you lazy, it makes you fragile. You start negotiating with your dreams. You start saying, maybe later. You start mistaking safety for happiness. Picture Rome in Seneca's time, marble palaces, endless feasts, and citizens obsessed with pleasure. The men who once conquered nations now fought over indulgences. Strength was replaced by softness, honor by appetite. Seneca saw it coming, the slow rot of the Roman soul. And he warned that any society built on comfort will collapse not from invasion, but from decay within. The parallels to our world are haunting. We have traded lions and battlefields for screens and subscriptions. We no longer fight for survival, we fight boredom. The modern man's battlefield is internal. His wars are fought in silence, his enemies invisible. Anxiety, distraction, apathy. And yet the result is the same. When struggle disappears, so does meaning. Seneca understood that suffering was not the enemy, it was the sculptor. Every hardship, every challenge, every failure was a tool the universe used to carve strength into a man's soul. He didn't just preach endurance, he glorified it. Because in struggle, the human spirit finds its shape. Without it, we collapse into comfort, into mediocrity, into nothing. He compared life to the training of a soldier. The man who never faces resistance becomes soft, untested, and unfit for war. And in a world that constantly tempts you with ease, where every discomfort can be avoided with a click or a pill, your mind slowly forgets how to fight. You become a spectator in your own life. Seneca's genius wasn't that he told men to suffer for suffering's sake. It was that he showed how to suffer well. He wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That's the heart of Stoicism, not to seek pain, but to understand its necessity. Because when life is too comfortable, your growth dies quietly. The modern man's tragedy is that he mistakes comfort for freedom. He thinks having no struggle means he's won. But real freedom, Seneca argued, is the ability to remain unshaken no matter what happens, to not be owned by comfort or destroyed by pain. And that kind of inner stability doesn't come from lying on a soft bed. It comes from walking through fire. Seneca's letters are full of this paradox. The more you run from pain, the more power you give it. The moment you say, "I can't handle that," you've already surrendered. You've handed over your strength to something external, a fear, a craving, a screen. And slowly your spirit atrophies. You start waking up tired, not because your body is weak, but because your soul is unchallenged. You start feeling restless, not because you have too much to do, but because you have nothing worth doing. Comfort becomes a cage lined with velvet. It looks soft, but it steals your hunger, your drive, your will. Seneca believed that the universe tests every man, not to break him, but to build him. The storms of life, he said, are gifts in disguise, opportunities to strengthen the will and temper the mind. A man who welcomes discomfort becomes unbreakable because nothing can surprise him. Look around today. Our comfort has become the new oppression. We live in climate-controlled rooms, eat processed pleasure, scroll endless distraction, and yet depression, anxiety, and purposelessness are everywhere. We have conquered the external world, but lost the inner one. Seneca warned us of this centuries ago. Softness enters by stealth. It begins subtly. You skip the gym once. You ignore the hard conversation. You avoid risk because it feels safer not to try. And slowly, your life becomes a series of small surrenders. You convince yourself you're content, but really, you're numb. Seneca saw comfort as a form of spiritual corruption, a seductive enemy that whispers, "You deserve to rest." But rest without purpose becomes rot, because rest is meant to follow battle, not replace it. In the heart of every man lies a dormant fire. It burns when he's tested, when he's pushed, when he suffers for something meaningful. Comfort smothers that fire. It lulls him into believing he's fine, while the flame inside him dims year after year until there's nothing left but ash. That's why Seneca's words still pierce through time, because they remind us of what we already know deep down. The soul was not made for endless ease. It was made to struggle, to strive, to overcome. And that is the forbidden truth modern men have forgotten. Comfort is not your reward. It's your sedative. It's how you lose your edge, your purpose, your life.
In today's world, comfort has become the new religion. It governs how we eat, how we think, how we live. We worship convenience, fast food, fast entertainment, fast dopamine. We've built an entire civilization around avoiding friction. But the result isn't happiness, it's spiritual decay. Men aren't suffering from lack of opportunity, they're suffering from too much ease. Seneca would look at modern men and see not warriors, but dependents, slaves to comfort disguised as freedom. He'd see men who've mistaken pleasure for purpose, distraction for fulfillment, and sedation for peace. We've had technology to make life effortless, but that effortlessness has made us hollow. We've removed all the resistance that once gave men form, and what's left is a generation floating in numbness. You can see it in the small details. The man who wakes up and checks his phone before he breathes. The man who spends more time scrolling than creating. The man who feels restless but can't explain why. These are symptoms of a deeper sickness, the soul's withdrawal from effort, the death of striving. Seneca would have called it what it is, a spiritual illness born from too much softness. Because when you no longer need to fight for survival, your instincts turn against you. They start to eat themselves. You invent new problems, anxiety, insecurity, self-doubt, because your soul is starving for friction. Men were designed to wrestle with the world, not float above it. Comfort, in this sense, is not neutral. It's corrosive. It dissolves the structure of your mind and the strength of your will. Every time you avoid discomfort, you train your body and spirit to stay small. You teach yourself that ease is safety and challenge is danger. But the truth is the opposite. The more you chase ease, the weaker you become. The more you seek challenge, the more alive you feel. Think about relationships. Modern dating has made everything easy. Swipes, DMs, instant validation. But easy love is fragile love. It has no depth, no tension, no growth. Men who chase comfort in relationships end up emotionally dependent and spiritually drained because they've forgotten that love, like strength, must be earned through struggle. Seneca would tell you that comfort kills attraction. A man who has never faced hardship cannot protect, cannot lead, cannot inspire. Women may sympathize with weakness, but they are drawn to strength. Not arrogance or control, but inner steadiness, the calm that comes from walking through fire and surviving it. The man addicted to comfort has never built that calm. He's reactive, fragile, always seeking emotional cushioning. He crumbles when things get hard. And when he does, he blames everything, society, women, the economy, anything but himself. Seneca would call that the first sign of decay, blaming the world for the pain you were meant to overcome. But it's not just relationships. Society itself rewards comfort and punishes struggle. We've built systems that make risk feel dangerous and mediocrity feel acceptable. You don't have to think, create, or fight, just consume. Everything is designed to remove the discomfort of thinking deeply or standing alone. Seneca would laugh at our version of hardship, waiting for Wi-Fi, being criticized online, missing a meal. He lived through exile, political betrayal, and the threat of death. Yet he wrote about serenity, not because his life was easy, but because he learned that peace comes from endurance, not avoidance. Modern men, by contrast, crumble under minor stress. A failed exam, a breakup, a harsh comment. It's not that these things don't hurt, they do, but they hurt more because we've been trained to expect ease. We've been conditioned to believe that pain is abnormal, when in truth, it's the most natural teacher life has. Seneca's wisdom is brutal in its honesty. If you want to be strong, stop protecting yourself from pain. Because every time you do, you lose a piece of your power. The man who never confronts discomfort becomes ruled by it. He spends his life managing anxiety instead of mastering it, avoiding rejection instead of growing through it. You see this everywhere, in men afraid to take risks, afraid to fail, afraid to be judged. They drown in self-help advice and endless motivation videos, but never take real action. Why? Because action requires discomfort, and comfort has become their drug. Seneca would say that comfort makes cowards of us. It teaches us to live like guests in our own lives, always waiting for conditions to be perfect. But life will never be perfect. The Stoic ideal wasn't to escape chaos, it was to become unshaken by it. He wrote that fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men. In other words, the universe doesn't punish you with discomfort. It presents you with the chance to become gold. Every challenge is a trial meant to refine you, not destroy you. But modern men reject the fire. They want the shine without the heat. And so we have a paradox. Men who crave greatness but fear the path that leads to it. They want discipline without boredom, strength without pain, freedom without sacrifice. But Seneca would tell them, you cannot have one without the other. You cannot become a man of depth in a world designed to keep you shallow. The modern application of Seneca's philosophy is not about rejecting all comfort. It's about reclaiming control over it. Comfort must be a reward, not a lifestyle. A moment of rest after battle, not the battlefield. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly struggled? Not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be uncomfortable long enough to grow? If you can't remember, you're already fading. Seneca's Rome fell not because of enemies at its gates, but because its men forgot how to fight. And our world is no different. The collapse won't come through war. It will come through apathy, a slow, silent erosion of purpose. Men will grow softer, weaker, quieter, until one day they wake up and realize they've lost everything worth living for. But there is still time. The comfort trap can be escaped, not by renouncing pleasure entirely, but by reintroducing struggle consciously, by doing the thing that terrifies you, by confronting boredom, by embracing pain as a teacher. That's the modern man's revolution, not a war fought with weapons, but a battle fought within, a rebellion against the comfort that numbs you, against the ease that dulls your edge. Seneca's message isn't outdated, it's prophetic, because everything he warned Rome about is unfolding again in our screens, our habits, our minds. Comfort is the slow death of the masculine spirit, but discomfort, voluntary, chosen, faced with courage, is resurrection.
Seneca's philosophy was never about words. It was about living truth. He believed wisdom that does not harden the spirit is worthless. Philosophy, he said, is meant to train the mind the way exercise trains the body, through resistance. So if you wish to break free from the slow death of comfort, you must live by principles that force you to grow harder, sharper, freer. The first lesson is this: do not seek comfort, seek control. Comfort is never the enemy. Losing control to it is. You can enjoy warmth, good food, rest, but the moment these pleasures own you, they begin to rot your soul. Seneca called it the slavery of luxury. A man enslaved to ease is no different from a prisoner. His chains are made of silk, but chains all the same. The cure is voluntary hardship. Sleep on the floor once in a while. Go a day without your favorite meal. Put yourself through discomfort until it no longer scares you. Because when you choose discomfort, you reclaim freedom. The second lesson: pain is not punishment. It is proof of life.
Most men run from pain as if it's a sign of failure. But Seneca taught that pain is simply the body's reminder that you are still capable of feeling. Pain is the forge where courage is made. When you suffer without breaking, you build a quiet power that no comfort can replicate. Stop asking for an easier life. Ask for the strength to handle the one you have. Every moment of struggle is an invitation to rise, to prove to yourself that you are still alive, still human, still capable of becoming something more than what comfort has reduced you to. Third, do not be seduced by ease. Be seduced by challenge. The modern world will whisper that the good life is one without struggle, that success is ease, and that struggle means failure. But Seneca knew the opposite was true. Struggle sharpens you. It gives you direction. The man who avoids all hardship avoids his own becoming. Each time you conquer something difficult, a fear, a failure, an obstacle, you grow less dependent on the world's approval and more anchored in your own strength. Let challenge excite you the way comfort once did. Fourth, detach from what weakens you. Comfort isn't just physical. It hides in your routines, your friendships, your habits. Anything that dulls your drive is poison, even if it feels good. Seneca urged men to associate with those who make you better. If your environment rewards laziness, escape it. If your circle normalizes weakness, outgrow it. If your daily habits make you numb, destroy them before they destroy you. The only true luxury is freedom, and freedom begins with detachment from what dulls your edge. Fifth, respect discipline more than pleasure. Pleasure is easy. It comes to those who seek nothing. Discipline, however, is sacred. It is the art of self-command, the quiet authority of a man who governs his impulses instead of serving them. Seneca believed that freedom and discipline are the same thing. You cannot have one without the other. A man who cannot say no to himself will spend his life obeying others. So treat discipline as your first act of rebellion against the modern world's addiction to comfort. Sixth, accept that comfort and greatness cannot coexist. The path of least resistance leads to mediocrity. If you want to live a life that matters, it must hurt. Every great man, philosopher, warrior, creator was forged in discomfort. Seneca himself faced exile, betrayal, and constant threat of death. Yet he wrote about peace, not because he escaped pain, but because he found meaning inside it. You cannot chase greatness while clinging to ease. You must choose one, and that choice defines your life. Seventh, live today as if you've already died. Seneca constantly reminded himself that death is not in the future. It is now, always beside us. When you accept your mortality, comfort loses its hold. You stop wasting days seeking safety and start using them with precision. You stop delaying your purpose because tomorrow no longer feels guaranteed. A man who knows he will die soon lives with intensity. He speaks truth, acts boldly, and refuses to waste time in the arms of ease. Finally, do not pray for comfort. Pray for courage. Seneca's letters to Lucilius were filled with this spirit. He never told his student to hope for better times. He told him to become stronger, to meet fate with readiness. Courage, not comfort, is the essence of a good life. When you stop fearing pain and start mastering it, you transcend it. You become untouchable. These are not poetic ideas. They are weapons. Every one of them cuts through modern weakness. To live as Seneca taught is to stand against everything that numbs the modern man. It is to replace the drug of comfort with the discipline of becoming. The man who practices voluntary hardship, who trains his mind to endure, who builds strength through simplicity, that man cannot be broken. He may feel pain, but he will never be lost. And that, Seneca would say, is the highest victory, not conquering the world, but conquering yourself.
Seneca's warning was never meant to frighten. It was meant to awaken. He knew that comfort, in small doses, is a gift. But left unchecked, it becomes a poison, a slow-acting venom that seeps into a man's will until he mistakes survival for living. Look around today, and you'll see his prophecy fulfilled. Men built by ease, broken by minor inconvenience. Strength diluted by distraction. Desire replaced by dopamine. Every generation produces fewer men willing to stand in the storm, fewer souls willing to bleed for something greater than themselves. And it's not because life got harder, it's because it got softer. Seneca would tell you this: the fire in your chest is not gone, it's buried. Buried beneath comfort, noise, and endless pleasure. But it's still there, waiting for a spark. That spark is suffering. The sting of effort, the weight of responsibility, the discipline of saying no when everyone else says yes. These are the flint and steel that reawaken your spirit. Because the truth is, comfort never loved you. It only wanted to keep you docile. It whispered, "Rest, you deserve it," until you forgot that men aren't built for rest. They're built for resistance, for creation, for conquest. Every moment you choose difficulty, you resurrect the part of you that comfort tried to kill. The man who wakes early to train when no one's watching. The man who stays silent and grounded when others chase validation. The man who faces pain and says, "Do your worst." That man is rare now, but he's the one the world will remember. Seneca's final lesson is simple, but it cuts to the bone. Ease will rot your edge. Discomfort will renew it. You can let the world sedate you, or you can let the struggle sanctify you. One path leads to decay, the other to destiny. So when the world offers you comfort, remember this: it's not a gift, it's a test. And every time you say no to comfort, a stronger version of you is born. That is how you live freely in an unfree world. That is how you win the only war that truly matters, the war against your own weakness.